Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to do the purple panda pattern. I came up with this myself, basically getting some parts off of another pattern I was using or making for a friend. This one I just basically made myself because I wanted basically the perfect bear. So I was looking online, looked all over YouTube, couldn't really find what I felt was perfect. Or you know that feeling, you find a really good pattern and you use it. Well, this one I made myself. You can either use a 5 to 3.75 millimeter hook, or you can go one size smaller than that. It's up to you. What you're going to need is a yarn needle thread, a row counter if you have one. I got this from Hobby Lobby, just like $3. Your hook, a stitch marker, and scissors, and your yarn. The color yarn I'm using is antique white. I thought this would be really good for the pattern that I'm using for the head and part of the body. And we're going to do part 1 of the head, where I make a full head just like this one here. This hole is supposed to be the size that it is. Later in the video you will see why. But yeah, let's get started. So I'm gonna put this on, make sure I reset it. And originally this was a stitch counter, but I don't think anyone wants to like keep counting each stitch they make, so I turned it into a row counter so I know what row I'm at. So round 1, we're going to make a magic ring, and how you make a magic ring is simply just by pulling the string over your 2 fingers here, pulling over and over again. And basically is what it makes here. Let me move this down just a little bit. And so I'm going to put my hook through this here, going to yarn over and pull through. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do 7 single crochet in the ring. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there is 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now what you're going to want to do next is tighten your ring here. So just pull on this loose tail here until it gets closed. So round 2, we are going to increase in each stitch. Now the first stitch you're going to want to increase is this one right here, right where my hook is at. So we're going to go ahead, and I would leave your tail loose, that way in case your circle happens to open up a little bit, you are able to tug it close again. So we're going to increase in this first stitch here. Okay, I did my first stitch, but we are going to put the stitch marker in behind the first stitch you made. Reason being, you can use anything as a stitch marker really. You can use a different color of yarn, you can use a paper clip, anything that you have near you, you can use. So there is 1 increase there, and an increase, basically you do a single crochet in 1 stitch, and then you go back into that stitch and do a single crochet again, and that is an increase. I noticed some patterns don't really say increase. The acronym for it's INC, but some people who do their patterns or certain patterns will show 2 single crochet in next stitch or something like that. And if that confuses you, it just means that it's an increase. We're going to increase all the way around here. And you don't have to make your panda purple or plain old black. You can use many different colors, like for the dark color, for the dark patterns you can use like rainbow or blue or anything like that, really. If you're making it for your kid, your grandkid, your niece, nephew, anything like that, you can definitely use their favorite color or colors depending on if they have more than one. Alright, we increased in our last stitch. We are on round 3. So what we're going to do is we are going to single crochet in our next stitch, just like so. And then we are going to put our stitch marker behind that stitch there. We are going to increase in our next stitch. And there's 1, and in the same mark there, in single crochet again. There's that single there, and then do this increase right here. There's 1. There's an increase. Here is 1. And an increase in here. Okay. Single crochet, increase. Pull on some working yarn here. Then single crochet, increase. And I apologize if my project is not in the middle of the screen where it should be. I kind of have a stand holding my phone to block, and then it's blocking mostly the middle part of the screen, but we're going to single and increase in the next here. And I don't have fancy equipment like the ladies on YouTube do. I'm not really that rich, so so I'm just gonna pull some working yarn here, that way I can get enough for the rest of the head here. Depending on where you start on your skein of yarn, if it's like the side roll, be sure to pull a lot of working yarn away from the skein so that you don't have to tug and pull on your roll. If you're pulling your yarn in like the middle of the skein, then that is fine. Basically all you have to do is pull a little tug and you have a bunch of yarn. Alright, we are on round 4 now. So we are going to single crochet in our next 2 stitches. And then we're going to increase after that. So we're going to do our first single crochet in this first chain stitch here. We're going to put our stitch marker in behind, right there. And then we're going to single crochet again in this next one. And that's our second. And we're going to increase in our next chain or stitch here. Sorry, I don't know why I'm stuck on chains. Alright, we're going to single crochet 1, do our second single crochet in the next stitch, and then do our increase here in the next stitch. We're going to do this all the way around, so be sure to count 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, so forth. There's 2, increase here, there's 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, and you're going to want your last stitch right next to your stitch marker right here to be an increase. If it doesn't happen to be an increase, undo all of this row here and start back with 1, 2, and increase. That way your pattern doesn't come out wonky shaped or wrong in any way, basically. Okay, we're going to start on round 5. Alright. We're going to single crochet 3 stitches and then an increase. So here is our first stitch. We're going to want to put our stitch marker behind that first stitch there between the single crochet and the double that you did on your last one on round 3 or 4. Alright, we're going to do 2 and 3 there, and we're going to increase 1 and increase there. And again, increase is basically just 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. Right. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to be doing this all the way around as before. Depending on how big you want the head also depends on the size of your hook and how many rows you want to do. So like say you wanted your head to be this small, or at least start the base part of this small and start to curve your project. You would basically end at row 4 and continue with rows 8 to 13 as 5 to 10. Right, so that was second stitch, or no, that was my third stitch there, so I'm going to go ahead and increase. Okay, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to increase in the next one here. And I'm doing this all the way through the video with you guys. I know some people on YouTube will make a full video and then cuts out bits and pieces that would be too long and that aren't necessary in the video. I unfortunately can't do that yet, so I'm just going to be going through this with you guys so you know how to do it and so that you have a guide. Make sure what it looks like, that way you guys don't have to quickly pause before it gets to the next step. 3, we're going to do an increase next. We're going to 1, 2, and 3. We're going to increase. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and increase this next one here. Okay, so we've got our, what looks like our last 4 stitches. So these 3 are going to be an increase, and these 3 are going to be single crochet, and this one's going to be an increase. There's 1, 2, 3, and an increase right here. Okay, next we are on row 6. So row 6, you're going to want to do single crochet 4 stitches and then increase. So we're going to make our first stitch here. We're going to put our stitch marker right behind that first stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in our next 3 stitches. So this one is our first one right here. So 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to increase in our next stitch here. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase in the next stitch here. So we're going to do that all the way around until we reach our stitch marker here. So, and if you need to pause yourself to make sure you know where you're at or count how many stitches you have so far, you can. As I said before, I'm going to go through the entire video with you instead of just doing bits and pieces. And again, I apologize if my project is everywhere. I currently don't have a chair. I'm sitting on the floor on my knees, and it's kind of hard to keep still, especially with a wobbly table such as what I've got right now. Okay, I did my 4 stitches. I'm going to increase again. Increase. And each month I am going to make a bear pattern similar to the purple panda bear, but in different colors, like a teddy bear or any bear really to make, and with different colors. So, and you can do that too. You can use whatever colors you have available or whatever colors you bought for this specific pattern, and you can just use them. I will say you are going to need safety eyes. They're easy to get. You can get them either off Amazon or Joann's, Michelle's, or Hobby Lobby, whichever you have available in where you are at near you. I got my safety eyes from Amazon. I think they work great. They actually have a lot of cool and a lot of different sizes. They've got 20 millimeters down to 18 to 16, 12, all the way down to like the teeniest tiny eye. So, if you want to do a safety nose, you can. That is up to you though. I do want to note, don't put the safety nose on the head and just clip it there, because I haven't yet been able to remove the clip or the safety clip from the safety eye itself. So you want to be sure if you're going to do that, and I'll show an example here, that this is basically the safety eye I'm going to use. It's a 18 millimeter. So when you want to check to make sure you can position the eye somewhere, you want to make sure that you stick the eyeball through, but you don't put the safety piece on. I found this to be better because you can figure out what looks best, where you can put your eyes, all that good stuff. And increase here. Two, three, four, and increase here. Okay, so now we are on row 7. We're going to single crochet in our next 5 stitches, and then we're going to increase. So we're going to make our first stitch right here. We're going to put our stitch marker right behind it here. Alright, we're going to make our second stitch, 3, 4, and 5, and then increase. And we're going to repeat this process all the way around to the stitch marker here. And again, I will be through the entire video with you. Can't talk today. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. And the yarn that I like to use to make these for kids that are about 4 and up, I like to use, what's it called? It's basically called I Love This Yarn. It's got a gray, here I'll show you. This is basically the kind of yarn I like to use. This is what I'm going to be using to embroider the nose into the head. And you want to do that before you sew the head onto the body that you're going to make later. This color is just regular pink. This one is the antique white, and this one is the violet eggplant. Alright, so I made my 5th stitch. I'm going to increase again. And again, you can use any color of yarn you want. If you feel like this yarn might be a little too rough for you, or rough for whoever you're making it for, you can go with softer yarn. The soft yarn that I go with for blanket use or anything like that is Yarn Bee. It's basically yarn and then BEE, like a bumblebee. And I use that to make blankets with because it's a good heavy soft fabric. So there's 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to increase here. Right, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then increase. And we're going to keep doing that until we get to that stitch marker, as I've said before. Alright, we are going to start on row 8, and this is where our head will start to curve. I'm going to pull some working yarn. Basically, rows 8 through 13 is where your head will start to form its shape. Be sure to count your rows. You want to make sure that you have the same rows that are required in this pattern here. And again, this is only part 1 of the head. Part 2 is the eyes and the nose. Alright, so now that we are on row 8, we are going to single crochet all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that there and make our first single crochet in row 8. Oop. Right. So then, as I showed before, we're just going to single crochet all of these here. We're not going to do increases or anything further than that. And if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. If you can't read from a book, I started with, so at first I got a book because I really wanted to make these for my cousin Ashlyn's baby shower. And there was the perfect doll that I made, and that I saw, and I felt that it was perfect for her and her baby. So I went and bought the book that the pattern was on, but I couldn't read the pattern itself, so I had to start with videos. I had to start with different head, I had to do the body. Eventually I made a couple of heads and got the gist of how to read the book. The pattern itself basically, and I made the body perfectly fine. I did the arms and the legs myself because I didn't really want to follow along with the book, so I just kind of improvised. The ears I did myself. I didn't make the dress in the pattern. I just wanted to go off something with basically my style. So I basically looked up a video on how to make a dress, and I had these snaps that I wanted to use so that her baby could, you know, snap the dress off or snap the dress on. It's really cool. It was the first dress I made. I will post a picture of it soon, after this whole pattern has been done. But yeah, I felt it was my first doll that I made, and I felt pretty proud of it. I may make another one just to see if I've gotten any better, and I will be using the antique white on that pattern as well, because with that pattern I used basically this white color yarn but with like tinsel in it. Alright, so we're going to do this all the way around. After row 8, I'm going to pull my project away for a moment. And so that you guys basically know what to do all the way from rounds 8 to 13. And plus my legs are falling asleep. So I'm going to quickly get to a stitch marker here, and then I'm going to pull the project away. But you guys do know what I mean by single crocheting all the way around. If your project does happen to start curving in the way mine is, you are able to stop and curve it inwards so that it can form the head, basically. Alright, so I'm going to pull the project away for a moment so I can get my legs to wake back up again, and I will come back to you at round 14.